Solve each equation and check the solution. When we see in the instructions solve, that means we have to come up with the value of n. So we need to look at this problem here, and we see that this problem right now is not equal to 0. So what we need to do, our first step, is to try to make this problem equal to 0. So we're going to use the distributive property to multiply these two numbers out and set it equal to 0. So n times n here, and then n times 5. So we get n squared minus 5n is equal to 6. So in order for us to use the zero factor property, we need to have the right-hand side of the equation equal to 0. So we're going to move the 6 to the left-hand side. So we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. We get n squared minus 5n minus 6 is equal to 0. So we end up with the second degree equation, and I know this is a second degree equation because of this 2 here. So the only way to solve a second degree equation is to factor it. So we're going to use one of the factoring techniques. In this case, I'm going to use the X puzzle because my coefficient for this equation here is 1. So when we have a 1, remember you can use the X puzzle. So we're looking for a product of -6. So two numbers that if we multiply them, we get -6. So this number here always goes at the bottom, and we need a sum of -5. So we put the -5 at the top. So again, we're looking for two numbers that add up to -5 and they multiply to a -6. Okay, so we're going to use -6 and a +1. So -6 plus 1 gives you a -5, and -6 times 1 gives you a -6. So we're going to write our factors. So we write n minus 6 and n plus 1 equal to 0. Again, remember with these type of problems, you can switch the +1 and the -6. So the commutative property of multiplication allows us to switch the order without affecting the product. So now that we have it equal to 0, we can use the zero factor property. So remember, the zero factor property states that if a times b is equal to 0, then either a is equal to 0 or b is equal to 0. So what we have to do here is we have to set each of the factors equal to 0 and then solve for the variable. So n minus 6 is equal to 0, and n plus 1 is equal to 0. So we're going to add 6 here, and we get n is equal to 6. Sorry about that. That's an n. It's not writing. And then -1, so we get n is equal to -1. So then my answer for this question is n is equal to 6, and n is equal to 1.